What's going on, everybody? Welcome to my spiritual YouTube channel. My name is Kieran. I help people using a spiritual perspective. Today, I'm going to do something a little bit different. I'm not going to shave, number one. And number two, I'm pretty much going to do this video in my pajamas and wearing a sweater that has some Japanese writing on it, which probably just says something like you paid too much for a sweater that looks bad. I don't actually know the details, but what I am going to do different is usually I talk to the camera, this thing right here, hi, and I speak essentially free-flowing thoughts, things that I want to talk about. But today what I'm going to do is I'm going to read an article that I wrote. So it's going to be me talking, but it's going to be a lot less ums and ahs and things like that. Now, I'm just doing this to try something different and also because I'm kind of lazy today, but I wanted to make a video before the end of the year. Christmas is coming up, and New Year's as well, and maybe you're spending some time alone. Maybe you're going to be surrounded by friends, loved ones. Maybe that isn't great. Some people don't really want to be surrounded by family. If that's the case, sorry. Try to drink as much as you can, I suppose, would be my best advice for you. But otherwise, what I want to do is talk about the burdens of spirituality. And I wrote this article on Medium.com, a place where you can just kind of post writings and stuff like that. You can always go read the stuff on Medium. That's called a not so subtle plug. See what I did there? Yeah, get on over there and read my stuff. A lot of it is poetry, nonfiction articles, spiritual stuff, all kinds of crap like that. All right. So if you're into that, which I assume you might be since you're on this YouTube channel, then go do that because that's always helpful. It's always good. So it is about the burdens of spirituality. I wrote this article with the intention of trying to assist or help even myself, other people, when they do end up getting to a point in spirituality where they feel lost, disillusioned, upset that nothing ever goes their way and that there is this great big promise of things that's supposed to. And of course it never does. So why don't you just sit there and watch this guy, me, read what I wrote. It'll be less fun, but that's life, right? And so the title of the article is The Burdens of Spirituality. And again, I wrote this. I'm not just reading it from some other asshole. It's this asshole right here. So in the subtitle, it's just another responsibility. That's what I wrote. So when I started this journey, the one, the call to self, I felt inspired, excited, and energetic. I was driven to learn more about all things spiritual, from tarot readings, twin flames, past lives, manifestation, angels, spirit guides, soulmates, and universal laws. I wasn't cured or fixed of any of my inner pain, but I was incredibly happy to get started. Now, 5 years later, I am sick of it. I'm tired of all the failings, the repeated cycles, the anger, the bitterness over the delays and bad timing, and overall, my emotions have gotten worse, not better. Things that used to fulfill me, information, ideas, no longer do. It's all fast food garbage that goes in and leaves 20 minutes later. Faith, hope, and general belief seem to come and go as the wind would, and it's only every other day do I feel some connection to something beyond myself. How did I get to this place? How the fuck did this happen? I cursed. Yeah. So, too much to do. Next title, right? Spirituality opens you up to a new world. It's great. Who doesn't enjoy new perspectives? It also means that it opens you up to more information. Ultimately, it becomes something like an overload. And the best we can do to keep going, 100 is to keep, I fucked up the sentence there. Let's reread that. Ultimately, it becomes something like an overload. And the best we can do to keep up is going 100 miles per hour to the next destination, hoping to become enlightened. Of course, we change this goal over time. Next, we want to be happy, at peace, content. And hell, I think most of us would just settle for things being less hectic. Having clarity over yourself would be a miracle in itself, more than any financial windfall or dream romance. Spirituality becomes something that we identify with, like anything, and with it comes the burden of self-help, this illusion of getting better and becoming better. The reason I got to a point where I'm completely disillusioned is because, like so many people before me, the awakening process became just another goal. I used it like a totem pole to determine my worth, and my expectations were set with a clear vision of how I wanted things to go. And hey, guess what? They didn't work out the way I wanted. Go figure. So the issue with spirituality, as well as most self-help and self-discovery books and seminars, is that people tend to beat themselves up for not being perfect or better. Everything we learn about spirituality basically tells us that we are better than we are currently. We need to change our diets, our friends, our relationships, our family dynamics, and our careers. We have to help the world and grow the collective while navigating heightened emotions and awareness. We feel more, and yet we have to survive, keep going, and strive for more. We have to transmute our inner pain while being compassionate towards others. We have to be zen, find inner peace and balance, and experience more. We have to read that spiritual book, watch that spiritual video, listen to that coach, take that tarot reading, or love that person. We have to do all of this while constantly changing to the point that the things that used to resonate no longer do, and yet a lack of clarity persists. But we continue because we feel we are asked to do this, to persevere beyond all the chains that hold us down. But it would seem the biggest chain is spirituality itself. All this emotional and mental work, all these thoughts and ideas are holding us back from simply being. There's less of a focus on accepting ourselves as we are. It's always about being better. And regardless of whether it's always taught that way, it still ends up being how we treat ourselves. And imagine now if you already have a strong inner critic. The experience, I assure you, is 3 times worse than it needs to be. The awakening process, whatever you personally call it, becomes a burden to our very life, and it's no wonder so many people, including myself, get burnt out and exhausted with the whole process. Maybe you want to go backpacking through Europe to find yourself. Maybe you want to go get a new tarot deck. Maybe you want to try mushrooms or ayahuasca in Costa Rica with some other spiritual people led by some guru. Great, you should go for it. But you know what I want? To sleep. I want to fucking sleep. Sometimes I'd like to write or make music, but most of all, I just want to sleep. I want to rest. I want a new perspective. And how can I expect to get these things if I am carrying the weight of the world on my shoulders? How can you? Wouldn't it be easier to just drop the whole spirituality thing? And naturally, I or you will never be able to stray away from the source of it all, that inner, deeper self, but to just drop the labels, the expectations, the shoulds and the should nots. Isn't that really what's being asked of me? The next section is called It Gets Better, right? The point I realized is to drop it. The beginning of the journey is about believing in something else. I went from being a staunch atheist to someone aware of the subtle forces working behind the scenes. I don't call it God, nor do I believe any man-made God exists, or I don't follow any religion. But I know it's there. Something is there. Something that, in my opinion, shouldn't have a name at all. Either way, I discovered it by accident, and I felt connected ever since, even though at times it does wane and wax. However, as time goes on, it's not about the outside forces. It's about the inside ones. Your emotions, your pain, your wounds, they are louder than ever. The point is to get you to rely on yourself. Not just your actions, words, or even your thoughts. The mission is to get you to fully and fundamentally accept what you are and therefore believe in it. That inner power, wisdom, and gentle spirit is your real truth and can't be denied. The trials and tribulations of life, and in particular your journey, force you to face, confront, and look at your inner self until a revelation of love and truth washes over you. It can take as long as it takes, but I guarantee you it will take longer the more that we linger on what used to work in spirituality, or even in our life, and continue a focus on the external forces like tarot readings, predictions, or even spirit guides or angels. After all, spirituality is just the process of understanding yourself at the deepest level. It's not about any of that other crap, as much as you might like crystals or automatic writing. It's about a relationship with yourself, your soul, and your inner being. You can integrate it however you want, but ultimately the awareness and disillusionment coexist at the same time to force you inwards. This is the real work, and I think climax of the spiritual awakening, and all inner work in general. Things can and will get better, but not according to the mind's plan, not in a way you think should happen. It will occur how it's meant to, and how it's meant to be is constantly being blocked by what you want it to look like. We perpetuate the cycle because our minds demand it, and because spirituality is something we cling to, like drugs or food. It's just another thing that we have turned into a possession of the ego. Spiritual ego is not just believing that you're better than others because you have some new awareness. It's also about being lost in your own world, desperately attaching yourself to it even when it makes you miserable. Why should you feel so awful all the time? Is that really what you think your highest self wants for you? For this experience, for itself, how much suffering is okay until you're allowed to give yourself a break? When can any of us just say fuck it and let whatever is going to happen, happen? It's hard, really hard, and I know that. But that's when it gets better. It gets better when you get out of your way. Let go of the bullshit, the burdens, the responsibility, and the desperation. Whatever is real, true, feels right will stay with you through any transformation, perspective change, or deep surrender. The real love that we seek, that cliche feeling inside of us, won't go away because we changed. This whole process is just an elimination of what no longer is real, what no longer serves us. It's about what parts of ourselves we can let go of now and choose to leave on the ground. We don't need to pick up the shit anymore. We can let go safely, not by necessarily believing that the outside will take care of us, because we already feel disillusioned, so there's a fat chance that that will do anything anyway, but by trusting ourselves, to believe that an inner knowing and small but powerful voice will carry us to safety. This is the true test to all those who undergo deep spiritual change, and it is a test that I feel all of us are meant to pass. Otherwise, we wouldn't be going through it. And it's here for us. It's just a matter of time. It comes to those who desperately need change and who are desperate. It comes to those who seek real perspective and desire more understanding of life and themselves. The only thing that gets in the way is our willingness to meet it or leave it outside in the cold. And I'm not great at meeting discomfort, but it is what it is, inevitable. Your life that you want is inevitable. No one said it would be linear. And if they did, they were lying. Probably the same liars that said Crocs look good. And that's the end of the article, okay? So the point is, spirituality. It's a burden. It feels like a burden to a lot of people. I think, to me, obviously, I wrote that, it is a burden. It becomes something where you do have to feel like you're perfect, and ultimately, I think it leaves a lot more people confused and heartbroken than enlightened and amazed. I think those people that do get to those parts of peace, to me, it seems like they've gone through so much, and they get to this realization that a lot of the stuff that they believed in before it's not really what made them feel good about themselves, right? I mean, that's more of an inner belief, an inner knowing, a meditation with the present, a meditation with the self, right? So this article is meant to help you guys, meant to help other people. Again, like I said, if you want to check it out, go over to Medium. The information is always in the description of these videos. But obviously this was a different type of video because I read from something that I wrote. Who knows if you like that? If you did, tell me, I guess. And if you didn't, then don't tell me, because I'm extremely sensitive. Anyway, that's probably it for me for the rest of the year. I'll be back next year with more videos, hopefully better ones, hopefully more consistent ones. But I was happy to get back into the flow of things again, even just subtly and slightly, because it's always a good thing to talk, to get these things off your chest. And obviously, if anybody's going through anything, leave a comment. What's going on in your life? I don't know. Holiday seasons can be difficult for people. Like I said, the best thing you can do is not be sober. Anyway, off I go.